King Charles and Prince William / Meghan's royal standing after secret financial allegations surface. The British monarchy is once again at the center of a storm that refuses to fade quietly. In recent weeks, renewed controversy surrounding Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, has reignited deep tensions within the House of Windsor. Tensions the palace insiders say have been simmering for years. At the heart of the latest uproar are allegations involving undisclosed financial arrangements, described by commentators as a secret account, combined with growing frustration inside the palace over the continued use and perceived monetization of royal status. While no official royal decree has been publicly announced, sources close to the institution suggest that King Charles III and Prince William have taken decisive internal steps to curtail Meghan's royal standing, signaling what some are calling a quiet but historic reset. The implications are enormous, not only for Meghan Markle, but for Prince Harry, the future reign of Prince William, and the global reputation of the monarchy itself. This is not merely another royal family feud. It is a clash between tradition and modern celebrity, constitutional restraint and public accountability, and a monarchy struggling to define its boundaries in a media-saturated age. The allegations that reignited the crisis. The latest controversy erupted after online reports and commentary alleged the existence of previously undisclosed financial arrangements linked to Meghan Markle, described broadly as a secret bank account. While specifics remain murky and unproven, the allegations spread rapidly across digital media, prompting intense scrutiny and renewed questions about transparency. Crucially, no credible financial authority or official body has confirmed the existence of such an account. However, royal watchers note that the palace's reaction, or lack thereof, has been unusually tense, suggesting that the issue may not be the allegation itself, but what it symbolizes. According to former palace aides and constitutional analysts, the monarchy has long been sensitive to any perception that royal titles or associations are being leveraged for personal gain without oversight. Even unproven claims can become destabilizing when they reinforce existing concerns. "This wasn't about one rumor," said one royal commentator. "It was about a pattern the palace feels it can no longer ignore." Why the palace is especially vulnerable now. King Charles III ascended the throne at a moment of fragility for the monarchy. Public trust has been tested by years of family drama, accusations of racism, tell-all interviews, and highly publicized commercial ventures by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Unlike Queen Elizabeth II, whose authority and longevity allowed her to absorb controversy through silence, King Charles governs in an era where inaction is often interpreted as weakness. At the same time, Prince William, widely seen as the future of the monarchy, has reportedly taken a firmer stance behind the scenes. Multiple royal sources claim William believes unresolved Sussex issues threaten the long-term credibility of the crown. Where Charles is cautious, William is said to be strategic and forward-looking, determined to draw clear lines before he inherits the throne. The question of royal titles. What has actually changed? Despite sensational headlines, it is important to clarify what has, and has not, officially occurred. There has been no public parliamentary action stripping Meghan Markle of the title Duchess of Sussex. Such a move would require complex legal and constitutional steps. However, insiders indicate that internal royal recognition and standing are a different matter entirely. According to sources familiar with palace protocol, Meghan's title is no longer used in any internal royal documentation. Palace communications have quietly shifted language when referencing the Sussexes. There is a growing push to discourage foreign governments, charities, and institutions from treating Meghan as a working royal. These changes may seem subtle, but within royal culture they are profound. "This is how the monarchy disciplines without detonating," said a former courtier, silently, systematically. Prince William's role. The heir takes control. If there is a single figure driving this recalibration, royal analysts increasingly point to Prince William. William's vision for the monarchy is reportedly centered on streamlining, credibility, and public service, not celebrity activism or media spectacle. Sources claim he views ongoing Sussex controversies as corrosive distractions. Behind palace walls, William is said to have pressed his father to take firmer action, not necessarily out of personal animosity, but from institutional necessity. William is thinking in decades, not headlines, said a constitutional historian. He does not want to inherit unresolved chaos. The alleged financial controversy, regardless of its veracity, appears to have provided the final justification William needed to argue that ambiguity surrounding Meghan's role is no longer sustainable. Meghan Markle, from royal asset to institutional risk. When Meghan Markle entered the royal family, she was widely hailed as a symbol of modernization. An American, biracial, accomplished woman bringing new energy to an ancient institution. Less than a decade later, palace insiders privately describe her as an ongoing institutional risk. Critics within royal circles argue that Meghan's post-royal ventures, media deals, public statements, and high-profile appearances blur the line between private citizen and royal representative. Supporters counter that Meghan was unfairly treated, subjected to relentless media hostility, and forced to build an independent life after being effectively pushed out. What both sides increasingly agree on, however, is that the current ambiguity benefits no one. The Harry factor. A prince caught in the middle. Prince Harry's position remains one of the most tragic elements of the saga. Once seen as the monarchy's most relatable figure, Harry is now viewed by many royal observers as isolated, caught between loyalty to his wife and estrangement from his family. Sources suggest Harry was not the driving force behind the latest tensions, but neither was he able or willing to prevent them. His continued use of royal identity in memoirs, interviews, and public appearances has further complicated matters, reinforcing palace concerns about boundaries. For King Charles, the situation is deeply personal. For Prince William, it is existential. Political and global implications. The British monarchy is not merely a family, it is a constitutional symbol with global reach. Political analysts warn that perceived financial impropriety, even if unproven, can damage Britain's soft power. The crown relies on moral authority as much as tradition, and controversy erodes both. Internationally, the Sussexes remain high-profile figures. Any suggestion that royal titles are being exploited for personal gain risks diplomatic awkwardness, particularly when foreign entities engage with them under the assumption of royal endorsement. This is why, analysts say, the palace could not afford to ignore the moment. A quiet reckoning, not a public execution. Contrary to dramatic narratives, there has been no public slashing of Meghan's title. No announcement, no ceremony, no confrontation. Instead, what appears to be unfolding is far more in keeping with royal tradition, a quiet withdrawal of recognition, a gradual narrowing of status, and a reassertion of institutional boundaries. Whether this approach succeeds, or simply fuels further speculation, remains to be seen. Will King Charles formalize what has so far remained internal? Will Prince William, as future king, take a harder public line? And will Meghan Markle respond, or continue forward unfazed by palace maneuvers? These questions will define not just the Sussex saga, but the future shape of the British crown. As reports of internal palace actions spread, public reaction erupted across Britain, the United States, and the Commonwealth. Social media platforms became battlegrounds, with hashtags referencing Meghan Markle, royal titles, and alleged financial secrecy trending within hours. Supporters of Meghan dismissed the situation as yet another coordinated effort to undermine her credibility, arguing that unnamed royal sources have historically been used to shape damaging narratives. Critics, however, saw the latest controversy as confirmation of long-held concerns that the Sussex brand has drifted too far from the boundaries traditionally imposed on royalty. In the United Kingdom, polling suggested a familiar split. Older generations tended to support King Charles and Prince William's reported stance, while younger audiences remained more sympathetic to Meghan's claim of institutional hostility. What was unmistakable, however, was the scale of attention. International media outlets framed the situation not as a family dispute, but as a test of whether the monarchy can still impose discipline in the modern era. The media war. Silence versus saturation. True to form, Buckingham Palace maintained its strategy of silence. No official statements were released, no denials issued, and no confirmations offered. For the monarchy, silence has long been both shield and sword, allowing controversies to fade without direct engagement. Meghan Markle's camp, by contrast, is widely perceived as media-savvy and proactive. While no direct rebuttal to the secret account allegation was issued, sources close to Meghan characterized the narrative as baseless, dangerous, and deeply familiar. Royal commentators noted that this asymmetry, palace restraint versus external amplification, has defined the Sussex saga since its inception. "The palace waits for storms to pass," said one media analyst. "The Sussex strategy has often been to confront storms head-on, or sometimes to redirect them. Whether that approach will change remains uncertain." Inside Meghan's inner circle. Strategy or defiance? According to individuals familiar with Meghan's professional circle, there is little appetite for retreat. Advisors reportedly view any internal palace downgrading as largely symbolic, irrelevant to Meghan's commercial ventures, public influence, or personal autonomy. From this perspective, royal titles are no longer central to Meghan's identity or success. Instead, she is positioned as a global figure, philanthropist, media personality, and advocate, whose relevance transcends palace approval. Yet critics argue this stance underestimates the power of institutional legitimacy. Titles may be symbolic, but symbolism is the monarchy's currency. Losing internal recognition could complicate diplomatic engagements, charitable partnerships, and public perception in subtle but lasting ways. This tension between independence and institutional validation lies at the core of the conflict. Prince Harry, the cost of loyalty. As scrutiny intensified, Prince Harry's silence became increasingly conspicuous. Observers note that Harry has historically borne the brunt of palace displeasure, often shielding Meghan from direct confrontation. Yet, in this moment, his influence appears limited. Royal insiders suggest Harry was informed of internal changes rather than consulted, a stark contrast to his former status. For Harry, the consequences are deeply personal. His relationship with King Charles remains fragile. His bond with Prince William is widely described as fractured beyond repair. Some analysts believe Harry's long-term standing within royal history is being rewritten, not as a rebel prince, but as a cautionary figure illustrating the limits of defiance within a hereditary institution. Legal reality. Why titles are so hard to remove. Despite widespread speculation, constitutional experts emphasize that stripping a royal title is neither simple nor swift. Under British law, most royal titles can only be removed through an act of parliament, royal assent, extensive political and public debate. This is why King Charles has historically avoided formal title removal. Such action risks politicizing the monarchy and setting precedents that could one day be turned against the institution itself. Instead, the monarchy relies on custom, protocol, and recognition, the invisible scaffolding that determines who truly matters within royal life. By quietly withdrawing internal status, the palace achieves many of the same effects without triggering constitutional chaos. Prince William's long game. Royal historians increasingly frame the current moment as a rehearsal for Prince William's future reign. William is expected to inherit a monarchy under pressure from Republican sentiment, financial scrutiny, and demands for transparency. Allowing ambiguity around the Sussexes, many believe, would undermine his credibility before his reign even begins. Sources suggest William favors a pared-down monarchy, with fewer working royals and clearer expectations. In such a vision, figures operating outside institutional discipline simply do not fit. The Sussex situation, therefore, is not an isolated dispute. It is a signal of the monarchy William intends to lead. Global image, soft power at risk. Internationally, the controversy raises uncomfortable questions. The monarchy functions as a diplomatic asset, representing British values abroad. When members associated with the crown face allegations, financial or otherwise, the reputational fallout extends far beyond personal drama. Political analysts warn that even unproven allegations can weaken the monarchy's moral authority, particularly in regions sensitive to issues of privilege, transparency, and accountability. This explains the palace's apparent urgency. In an age where reputations can collapse overnight, preemptive boundary setting may be viewed as institutional self-defense. Is this the end of the Sussex chapter? Despite the gravity of the moment, few believe this marks a definitive end. The Sussex saga has proven remarkably resilient, evolving through interviews, documentaries, memoirs, and public appearances. Each attempt to close the chapter has instead produced a sequel. Yet, something feels different now. For the first time, insiders suggest the palace is no longer reacting. It is repositioning, no longer seeking reconciliation, no longer prioritizing optics over structure, and no longer tolerating ambiguity. This is not exile. It is irrelevance by design. Meghan Markle's next move. Whether Meghan responds directly remains an open question. She may choose silence, allowing the controversy to burn out. She may reassert independence, reframing the situation as proof she no longer needs royal validation, or she may pivot strategically, emphasizing causes and projects that render the title debate obsolete. What seems unlikely is retreat. Meghan Markle has consistently demonstrated a willingness to chart her own course, palace approval or not. A monarchy redefined. In the end, this moment may matter less for what it does to Meghan Markle than for what it reveals about the monarchy itself. The British crown is signaling that it will no longer allow uncertainty to define its structure. Titles will mean something, or they will mean nothing. King Charles and Prince William appear aligned on at least one principle. The institution must come first, even when the cost is personal, painful, and publicly controversial. Whether the public accepts that principle may determine the monarchy's future. This is not merely a story about allegations, bank accounts, or titles. It is about power,